All right, so if anybody's watching right now, you guys happen to be part of the dopest ever amazing blab ninja trick I just did, which is essentially what I did is link up a different phone, a whole different blab account, so that me and John can hop on and talk about Be Experienced Bachelor and life after divorce. Hey, Kyrie, trying to be too loud because that thing's in the recording. And that's it. So we're now recording. Man, John, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and kind of how you can, I guess, get the ball rolling for this whole life after divorce.
First of all, Anthony, thank you very much for all the effort. I almost feel guilty for having put you through all that. So my apologies to everyone listening on there, and a big hello from down under.
Awesome.
So you want to know what I ended up doing? Well, your conversation that you had earlier with the listeners was pretty much on that. I come from a background where I was married for 29 years the first time, and then things ended up not working out, and so we ended up divorcing. And the issue was that after 29 years of being married, I found that when I became single, I didn't have a clue about how to get back into the social scene. And so for about 3 years or so, I literally languished in my apartment, going out very, very little, mainly because I just didn't know. I was too shy to actually go out there. I didn't know how to approach women for dating, and it was a real dreadful time. But eventually I ended up, I found a book in a really quaint little bookstore, and it was about how to date young women for men over 30. And I was really fascinated by that because I didn't even know that books like that existed. So I ended up buying the book, and if you remember that scene in American Graffiti where the young guy goes into the chemist shop to buy a condom and buys a toothpaste, a comb, aspirins, and a whole bunch of other things. Well, basically, I did the same thing because I was so embarrassed about not knowing or buying such a book. And I thought everybody in the store was watching me and looking at me. It was quite funny. But anyway, I did buy it, and I read it over and over and over again, and I started applying some of the techniques and the tips that were in the book. And so I started slowly getting out of that. And then I started doing personal development, and I started doing other bits and pieces until I actually started going out frequently, and I started dating, and I started feeling normal again. And what then brought it up was that one day I had cleaners in the house, and one of the cleaners, which is a guy in his 40s, overheard me on the phone making a date for the weekend. And he came into the room and asked me real sheepishly if I went out on a date every weekend. And I said, yes, I do, or I tried to. And I asked him, don't you? And he said, no. I said, why not? And he said, because I'm divorced. And I said, so what? How long have you been divorced? He says, 8 years, and I haven't been with a woman in all that time. And I said, whoa. And it kind of reminded me so much about what I went through for about 3 years. So I then sort of kind of took him under my wing, and I sort of, had him hang out with me a bit when I went out dating and going out looking for dates or trying to set up a date, and sort of started giving him tips and advice. And so I kind of enjoyed that because he got a lot of value out of it, and that sort of led me to wanting to do it more formally. So I ended up doing a diploma in coaching and sort of learned the skills of coaching. And then so I started doing that, just coaching men on how to become better at being single after divorce. That explains
that explains very thoroughly. And I mean, the next question I might have is, do you think there's congruencies across the boards as a man and a woman? Like, is there information that really doubles to both sides?
Pretty much so. I targeted initially men because that's what I was really familiar with, and that's what I kind of sympathized with. But since I've been coaching, I've had almost as many women approach me and find interesting what I do, and they ask me, can you help me too? Because I keep getting all the wrong guys, I keep getting deadbeats, I keep getting guys that are this, that, or the other. Do you do that for us as well? And I just said, well, yeah, I do. The principles are pretty much the same. There are slightly different. There's a different flavour to it because of the gender, and women have a certain amount of issues, but overall the basic issues are the same, and that's basically getting over the old baggage.
So I was going to say, so what's the first process? Because I know, like for me personally, like I'll speak for me, and I don't know if I speak for everybody else, but like I have, I'm a single guy. I am divorced. I have 3 kids. There's a lot of things that tie into it. Now, I don't exactly avoid dates, but I wouldn't say I consistently go out on dates. But not really something where I actually want to push out in that realm. Maybe it's just me individually, but what's that?
Can you say that again?
I was saying for me, it's like I'm a single guy. I'm divorced, have 3 kids, and I know there's like a lot of like different things that like I don't struggle to go out and go after women. I just don't really choose to. But for people like who are in that place now, like what's the first step, right? Like how does somebody start moving past maybe the internal baggage to get that first date or start even feel comfortable to get in a date?
Well, that's one of the reasons I ended up creating a 6-week program, which I call the Apprentice Bachelor. And I'm just putting my phone back on a battery because I'm going to run out of power if I don't.
Oh, no worries.
I'm just going to click that in and make sure that I don't lose you guys. I want to keep going with that sort of thing. Yeah. So basically what we had was that I created this program, which is it's a 6-week program, and it's based on in a 2-part program. First part of the 3 weeks is actually getting rid of the old baggage, and the second half of the program is actually creating new luggage. And therefore, there is that you got to try and clear out all the issues that they've got that they tend to bring on a date when they get a date. And then the second half of the program, we're actually getting to get the actual skills that they need, the escalation of, where to find a date, how to escalate the date from just a connection with, whether it's on social media, whether it's on a internet website, or whether it's at a party or whatever. In other words, it's getting to build the rapport that you want to end up having with that person, so that you can go on to the next stage, which would be like a connection, a coffee chat. Just go have a cup of coffee, and then progress on up the scale until you end up making it a full blown date.
Gotcha. So how would someone start with removing the baggage? Yeah. So how would someone go, like, what's the first step to removing that baggage? Because if that's something which I think a lot of people have, like, how do we go about, like, getting the baggage unpacked?
Well, that's pretty individual for people. It depends on what the dynamics of the breakup and the divorce was about. I always notice that there's 2 dynamics. It's either the person left or got left, and the dynamics are different. So, for example, when I left my marriage, I suffered greatly with guilt and feelings of regret and a whole bunch of other feelings that were just really bad. People that I've talked to and coached that have been left, they have a lot of resentment. They have a lot of bitterness. They feel like they've been cheated on, that they've been left. So we have to then deal with those issues. And the way that I tend to do it with that is to actually, go back to the time when they were actually, in sync with each other, so that they can remind themselves as to, why they had that relationship in the first place, and then to actually just let go of it. And you got to be able to let go. So I tend to do exercises with that where, you write it down, you journal the actual feelings that you have about that. You genuinely then say, I'm ready to move on from that. And then you just do a ritual where we, get rid of the letter and just just destroy it so that that past aspect can actually be let go.
Yeah.
And then you're ready to move on. Then we actually go into the, creating new luggage, which is just a physical makeover in terms of how you look, the attractiveness aspect of it, your assertiveness levels, and give you the tips as to how to read body language so that you know when you can approach someone and when they don't want you to approach someone.
Gotcha.
All of these things sort of come into the actual program.
Yeah, which is actually it's cool information. I know there's a lot that goes, for me, I would think goes into the aspect of those levels, because I think for most people, once you've gone past the level of, you've broken up, I don't want to make that mistake again. And I think for me, the biggest thing that I personally may deal with is how do I find someone who is everything I want them to be without being worried about something from the past happening again.
Well, that's what you got to be present. Too many people go into dates and they're still in the past. Their head's still in the past. So the first thing they start talking about, and they might get asked, why you divorced, how long you divorced, and all that, and then it just becomes a great big long story about the breakup and all the bad things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody wants that when you're on a date, particularly when you're initially starting off on a relationship or you're trying to establish a relationship with this person.
Mm-hmm.
I find that that's the biggest killer of the second date. To me, the first date is always the setup for the second date.
Yeah.
Below the first date, there is no second date.
Gotcha. So then here's a good question I think that I may have is, where do you find a person? Where would you go and find another woman or find another guy?
Well, I'm 65, and on last Saturday, I went out to a club. It was a friend of mine's birthday party, and he had it at this club. And it just reminded me of the times when I used to go to clubs and how terrible it was, because it's such a powerhouse type of environment to actually try and establish some kind of rapport with somebody. Because the music's so loud you can't hear, so you can't talk. So everybody's out there looking around, trying to compete, trying to sort of jockey in for positions, and I find that really difficult. So I coach my guys when I'm coaching it. I'm a real big believer of online dating. You can sort of control that a lot more. The people that are on there, that that's what they want to do. So if you approach them, they will either say yes or no, depending on how it is. Whereas when you're in the open, in a restaurant or in a public, and trying to approach someone about whether they want to go out or whether to get their number, a lot of guys get shot down because they approached at the wrong time, or they didn't get a signal that allows them to approach. And so that sort of thing, wounds their self-esteem, kind of gets them less confidence, and so they're less likely to want to try again. So for me, to answer your question, I'm a big believer of online dating.
Interesting.
There are several dating websites on there where you're kind of like a matchmaking type of website. There's Harmony. There's in Australia we've got RSVP, which is my favourite. But there's a whole bunch of other ones. Plenty of Fish, and there's Plenty of Fish.
Yeah, I've heard of those ones. I've never been on any myself. I just know they exist.
Mature dating. There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
But at least that way you go there. But then I coach my guys and I train them to actually know how to do it, how to write a real good, interesting profile, so that you attract a person that you actually is going to resonate with you. And so you do that, and then you get it through, and you go through contacts by email. I have a strict rule when I'm approaching women on the dating sites that I will not go out on a date until I've had at least 3 interesting emails. And so I will sort of email, and I will ask questions, and I will sort of try and get them to sort of be interesting for me.
Yeah.
If they can't keep my interest on an email, it's not going to work when I go around and have a cup of coffee with them.
Yeah. Well, here's a question that
I escalate that slowly. It's emails, coffee date, second coffee date, then there'll be a lunch date, then there might be another daytime date, maybe a gallery or go and see a sport event or something like that.
Yeah.
And finally, if I'm still interested, then I'll ask for a dinner date, and that's where then you would escalate that into a more intimate relationship if you want to get, or a more solid relationship if you want to pursue.
Gotcha. It's a process. So if I'm going to try to speak from the lady's perspective now. I'm not a lady, in case you didn't know, but if I'm a woman and, I want, because sometimes men don't approach women, and sometimes women don't like online because they get attacked pretty much online in like vulgar ways. So if I was a woman, how would I go about, trying to find a good guy, maybe online or offline, if I have children or I have baggage? Like, what do you think would be a unique way for a woman to maybe be proactive?
Well, in actual, it's interesting you say that, because I get the same argument from women. They're saying, we're all the guys, and they don't approach, and so I find that a lot more women actually approach. I get more approaches on internet dating from my profile than I actually do in searching out somebody, women, and them a contact. So women aren't shy about actually making contact, but in order to find the right person, they have to write a really good profile that actually sets out their values, so that they will match somebody that has similar values.
Gotcha.
When relationships don't work out, it's because their values clash, and they don't have the same kind of, not so much interest, but the values.
Yeah.
So, you've got to spell those things out. If you've got children, whether you want children, whether it's okay to have children, I don't want any more children, or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it comes back to just exactly how much information you put in on your profiles.
Gotcha. Now, if we were to say, like, non-profile, like say this is guy and girl, like, how is the best way to go about putting yourself out there in public? Let's say you're at a restaurant or you're standing in line somewhere. Like, what would you think for both sexes is a good way to end that conversation?
Well, again, for men, let me preface this with humans. We're all basically an animal. We're a mammal species, and all animals have a courting ritual. They have a mating ritual, and it goes through on those bases. And it's kind of embedded in us, right? And in courting, we do have certain signals that are attract, or if you're interested, or if a woman's interested, she will give a particular type of signal. Mm-hmm. And if a guy does it, and it all comes back a lot to do with eye contact and how you actually, interact from afar, from 10, 15 feet away. Mm-hmm. For example, and this is where guys get shot down, because they go out and approach, but they might be approaching at the wrong time, or they didn't get the okay signal. And the best signal to note on that, and you've got to be, kind of really observant to know that once you do, you'll see it really, really easily, is if you want to approach a lady, a woman, from afar, a total stranger, the first thing you do is you make eye contact, but not staring in a creepy kind of way. You just make eye contact in a friendly way, maybe a bit of a smile, and so on. Mm-hmm. She makes eye contact with you as well, lowers her eyes, and then moves her head to the side. It means that she's flattered, and that is an okay for you to approach. Mm. On the other hand, if she doesn't want to be approached, she will make eye contact with the person, and then her eyes will look sideways, and then she will look away. Mm-hmm. And that means, I'm not interested, don't bother me, don't come around. Gotcha. A lot of guys don't see that, so they will come up and approach somebody, and then the woman will look up and say, what do you want? And she'll be perspective because she doesn't want him to come around.
Mm.
Follow me? So you gotta be able to be observant in those things. You gotta be able to read the vibes about it. And I find that too many guys, particularly after they've been married for a long time and they haven't had that practice, they don't see those signals. Mm-hmm. So they kind of feel that they're going to be assertive, and they just go up to someone who doesn't want to be approached, and then they get shot down, and then they get kind of distressed about it, and they feel like, well, I only wanted to be friendly, but they didn't look for the signals.
Gotcha.
That's usually the biggest mistake that guys do. As for women, if they're interested, they will be flirty. So they'll give you signals like, the eyes, they'll look at you and they'll look away, and they'll look at you again. They might raise their palms and give a wave if they're really bold. And some nowadays will actually even come up and say, "Hi, I'm Shirley."
So how can you look at what are the men's tells? So if a woman looks at me and I'm interested, how can a woman know if I'm interested or not interested as a male's body language?
A man's body language will be, you're just interested, just a direct eye contact and smile. And then if she smiles back, don't wait, do not hesitate, just walk up. And all you have to do is just say, "Hi, I'm John."
Gotcha.
And carry on the conversation from whatever it takes you from there.
Okay, and then we have a question that came in. The question is, what advice would you give to a man or woman who is an introvert?
An introvert, get over your introvert, become slightly more extrovert. And that really comes back from confidence. Guys are introvert, they're shy, etc. But that's usually because they've had probably bad experiences or very little experiences. So what you got to do, what I try with those guys, when I'm coaching them, is I try to build up their self-esteem by giving them little exercises that build up the self-esteem by having positive reactions from that. Because introverts, as soon as they get a bad reaction or a negative reaction or a shutdown or a rejection, they take it like really personally, and so they will most likely, retreat inwardly, and then they won't go and approach again until something else comes up, and they'll try again. But it takes them a while to get over it. So we go through little exercises to try and build up the positive responses so that they feel more confident in being able to approach. Yeah. So that's basically the trick in that.
And that makes sense. I think what I've noticed for a lot of people is once you're married and then you get out of that marriage, I think a big one is, how do you adjust to find a new normalcy? Because sometimes people get out of it and the normalcy was to be in a relationship. So sometimes they pick the wrong people. So we'll get into something that really didn't belong in the first place. So how would someone be able to maybe pick better people? How would you think that's possible?
Well, that is a learned thing. There is no better people. I believe that all people are good and all people have got the right intentions, etc. Some people and some men and some women just don't know, or they've been out of it for too long, and so they come into it with wrong misconceptions about how to go about it, and it's really only because they just don't know. So to me, it's like, you just got to learn. You just got to get into it and learn the do's and the don'ts of the dating game. And there are quite a few in that respect. Women expect certain things. Guys expect certain things. And it's only when they become inappropriate that everything goes, south.
Gotcha. All right, it's cool. That makes sense. I mean, does anybody who's watching or listening now, do you guys have any more questions? I want to make sure you guys, if you have a question for John, you can just type it in. And then,
Anthony, just want to point out on this, like, when I coach, are not pick-up techniques. I don't do seduction techniques. I don't do how to do pick-up. I don't do and all that. To me, it's what I call, finding your authentic self and then presenting the best version of that. That's what my coaching is all about. If you can do that, if you can go at all times presenting the best version of yourself, you will find people that resonate with that, and then you will be more successful.
Gotcha. Which makes, I agree fully. I think tricking somebody, you can't, that's not sustainable to begin with. Not to mention that when I want someone, I want them to like me, not the person I presented that day.
It is. But having said that, Anthony, at the same time, it's like I get that argument a lot by guys. I got to be me. I got to be taken for who I am, etc. And I said to them, yes, you're right. But for the last 20 years or 25 years or 15 or whatever time you've been married, what you've been is a husband, and you got used to certain ways of being. And some of those may not now be acceptable when you're out there on a date or you're trying to establish a new relationship. So you've got to be able to still be authentic, still be who you are, but the best version of that when you present it. In other words, don't spill out all your old baggage. Don't go bagging other people. This is a really interesting one. I did a survey with women, and I did it on Facebook, and I asked women, what's your number one deal breaker on a date? You know what the response to that was? Number one?
Talking about their ex?
Waiters.
What is it?
Being rude to waiters.
Interesting.
That was what most women were, that was their deal breaker. If he was rude to waiters, good shot. Number two came in talking about their ex-wife or bad-mouthing their ex-wife.
Gotcha. That's pretty, I would have thought that'd be number one. Interesting. So here's a question from Toya Sanchez. So the question is, how long should you wait, ideally after divorce, to start looking again? Loneliness versus actually being ready.
There is no timetable for that. Divorce and after divorce is a grieving process. You know, you just had a relationship that died, and so everybody goes through their grieving process. Some people get over it really quick. Some people take a lot longer, but it's a grieving process. And it takes a bit of time. So when they feel like they want more out of life, that's when they're ready. But at the same time, if you don't know what's available out there, or that there is training that can help you to become more social and be more outward socially, then they will languish in that grieving process for a lot longer than they have to.
So it's more of a hope thing. They have to know there's something more to be able to get out of that grieving process.
Yeah, you just want to. For me, it was the loneliness. I was for 3 years. The first year was a lot of beating myself up for not being good enough with my marriage and my family and so on. But then after about 2 years, I started getting lonely. It's no fun being on your own. It's okay to be single and go out and all that, but when you're not doing that, it's lonely just going home to your empty apartment, watching videos and whatever, or just going to family barbecues or whatever. It's just lonely. You want to end up having someone that you can relate with and that understands you and so on. Yeah. And that's when you get to that point, that's when you start searching out for ways to go out dating.
Makes sense. All right, cool. So if anybody has any questions, make sure to write them in. If not, then I want to ask how someone can get a hold of you if they want more information on you, anything like that. Like, what's a way to reach out to you?
The best way is to have a look at my Facebook page, which is The Experienced Bachelor. That's THEX-Experienced Bachelor. Or in the same, my email at my website's the same name on that, which is THE-EX-experiencedbachelor.com. Okay. But Facebook is an easier way. Just message me if you want to get in contact. I'd like to also say at this stage is that what I do with potential clients, people that want to end up finding out what I do, is that I do a 45-minute clarity conversation where we end up sort of finding out where they are in their journey and whether I can help them and whether we're a fit to work together. And that's at no charge. I do that as a service on that. So if anybody's interested to find out a bit more about it and what I do and how I can help, just message me on Facebook and I'll get in contact with them.
Gotcha. And it's facebook.com/THEEX Bachelor, right?
That's right. If you just even go on your own personal page, Facebook page, and just search for The Experienced Bachelor, you'll find it. It'll take you to that page.
Okay, cool. And do you work with women as well?
It'll come up on the search.
Do you work with women as well?
I do, yes. I started working with women now. I've got several women that I'm coaching at the moment.
Awesome.
And oddly enough, I find that the issues are not that much different. It's just it's just more individual. Just like no one person, no one man has got the same issues. Same with women.
Gotcha. That's cool. So anybody's paying attention right now, if you guys reach out to him on theexperiencedbachelor.com, so THE-EX-experiencedbachelor.com, or facebook.com/theexperiencedbachelor. He'll actually do a free call with them, right?
Yeah, free call.
Awesome. So do the free call and maybe link up with them.
All the clarity conversation, because what we try to do is we try to get some clarity in where they are right now and what they can do to move forward.
Gotcha. That's awesome. I like it, man. I'm glad you actually reached out to me, because if not, I would have never known this. And I think what you're talking about is a good asset to people, because I get a lot of questions about people post-divorce, like, what did I do? How can I work in that direction? And I'm not experienced, but you are.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Anthony? In Australia, for example, the divorce rate is approximately 49% of all marriages end up in divorce. But the interesting statistic that's actually starting to show up now is that the fastest growing group demographic in the divorce things is the over 50s. The baby boomers are the ones that are actually divorcing more now than any of the other groups.
Wow.
Age groups.
That's interesting to know.
Baby boomers, we're living longer. We're more cashed up. We get to our 50s and we ask ourselves, is this all there is?
Uh-huh.
So both men and women are starting to actually sort of say, well, they want more. They want to experience more life. Mm-hmm. And so they end up divorcing for various reasons. But that's an interesting demographic for me.
Yeah, I gotcha. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, man. This is actually, we made this thing work. I hope everyone was able to hear. I was able to hear you, so I'm thinking everybody else did, man. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, man, that's been a real test of overcoming the technology gremlins.
We did. I don't know how we did it, but we did.
You did it. You really sort of did well. So hats off to you.
All right, cool, man. Thank you very, very much. Everybody, if you guys have any questions, make sure to reach out to him. And that's it. I'm going to walk in this room now. I'm going to stop recording.
Email.